So the more you try to drill down, I think the more that you're going to find really interesting opportunities for content and for monetization. The audience might not be as big, but the opportunities are there if you keep going down.
Totally. Yep. I love it. I think about that a lot. It even kind of aligns with, the Kevin Kelly, like 1,000 True Fans, right? Which is,
Sure.
again, you're not going to build a massive business on 1,000 True Fans, but you could build a solid business if that's what you're going for. And you just kind of described what I'm doing in the local side. So yeah, I totally agree. But I also think, even though this is a local podcast, is generally what I talk about, I do think tell me if you agree with this, but the thought here of putting two things together of, if you're listening to this show, you probably are in the top 1% of people understand newsletters, just obviously. But then can you combine that with another skill set or area of business, or anything really, area of life that well that could be monetized? Let's just take business in general, right? Like, again, you kind of use it, right? It's like you're a dentist, or any sort of business. If you combine your knowledge of newsletters / doing a small media company with your knowledge of the accounting space, or being an insurance adjuster, or any of these things, and build a media company, because you're probably the only person who knows both of those things, right? And I just think there's a big play there for people to be thinking about, what area of expertise do I have well, a lot of people have areas of expertise in dentistry or insurance adjusting, but you'd be the only one who also understands media and newsletters, and then you can build a media company off of that.
Well, I mean, so if you think beyond the newsletter space, look at, I'll transition for a second to politics. If you look at that space, there's a reason that so many people who are running for higher office, in particular president, are suddenly saying, you know what I need? I need a podcast. I need to build an audience here. Because having a media property where you can reach a wide audience, plus whatever you're doing in politics, means, well, suddenly when I show up and announce I'm running for so-and-so office, well, I bring that audience with me. I bring that megaphone with me. And the same thing is true in the newsletter space. If you're that insurance adjuster and you have the local newsletter in town, you're trying to promote your business, you're trying to drive clients, there's just so many interesting things that happen when you bring an audience with you. And, it's something that I've loved about running Inbox Collective the last couple of years. For me, once I built that audience around newsletters, it just became a matter of, well, what do I want to build on top of this? And I said no to more things that I said yes to. I had people from the start saying, oh, there should be a great membership attached to this. There should be a Discord, there should be a Slack room. And I said, I just don't think that's for me. My goal was to try to build something that would be available to as many people as possible for free. I have a kid. I've told a lot of clients, I will pay you to not put me in your Slack room. Like, I will give you a discount if you don't add me to Slack. Please don't put me in, that thing. I don't love operating that space. Stuff like that. I said no to that. But I said yes to things like events, to talks, to building out certain, ebooks, different sorts of consulting opportunities, teaching opportunities. Try to say yes to the things that make sense to me. It's true to anyone. Once you've built that audience, you get to decide, okay, where do I want to go from here? What can I layer on top of this? Because the audience likes me and trusts me. And then if I want to build on, a reader revenue strategy, subscription, membership, donation, if I want to build on some sort of strategy around events, if I want to build on a merch business, if I want to sell something else, if there needs to be an attached business separate from newsletters, but that services my community, yeah, you can do those sorts of things. It might make sense for you. So the real thing is, once you build the audience, lots of possibilities for you.
And that's what I try to tell that to everybody. And I'm so glad you said it that way, because that's exactly how I think about it, which is build the audience first, and then you basically are building optionality for how you want to leverage it, right? And so I think we all know, and this comes up a lot on Twitter, and the smart people now are starting to realize, especially because of AI, is that the real moat is audience, right? It's like, again, how many people are building amazing AI tools in their basement, and they're geniuses, and then it's great, it's the best tool ever, but nobody knows about it. Well, so it goes nowhere, and it just dies because he didn't have an audience. Right. And so building an audience is just so key. And I think the other reason, again, kind of why I started this as a side hustle originally, was building an audience is very difficult in, like AI or tech or business or whatever. It's like, it's relatively difficult, but doing it locally, if you've got some money to throw at ads, like, is easy because nobody's doing it. right? And you're most likely, if you're, maybe if you're in New York City, obviously it's tougher, but like if you're in a suburb or smaller, like you're probably the only one doing this in the right way. So you're able to build an audience much easier.
And in most communities, you're not seeing that many media properties exist. I'm a rare example. My wife and I moved now almost 2 years ago from New York City out to Park City, Utah. We have some family out here, had the kid, needed some help. One of the first things that came to mind was, oh, I should launch some sort of local newsletter, serve the community. Park City is a weird exception in that we are actually oversaturated with media. We have, well, I'm not going to say too much media because that's not a thing. I want more people covering local government, more ways to learn about what's happening. But because of the resorts out here,
The
the
high
ski
value.
mountains,
Yeah.
because of different
Yeah.
factors, we have a lot of media outlets. There's three actually pretty good local newsletters that go out every single day, plus
Oh,
one that
wow.
exists servicing events separately. So I looked and I just went, oh boy, I don't actually want to show up and try to compete with all these people. Plus, I've started to become friendly with some of the media operators out here, and all right, I don't want to show up and tick anybody off. I've got enough stuff going on. But in just about any other place that we would have moved to, I would have looked to have started a media property because, well, it just opens up lots of possibilities long term for me if I have that audience. And obviously, having done this in a lot of different organizations, a pretty good sense of how to do this sort of
I,
work.
I think you
So,
do. Yeah.
unfortunately for me, I
Yeah.
had to stick to my day job.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, what is the population of Park City? It's small, right?
Year-round population is something like 10,000
Oh my God.
people.
Yeah. Three
In the
media
winter,
companies
it's
and 10,000.
more, although
No
if
way.
you know where there's any snow and you can send it out to us, maybe I know Texas isn't exactly the snow capital of the world, but we could use some winter, send it our way.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, they announced there were some Olympic races that were supposed to happen out here, some qualifyings for the Olympics in a couple months, and they're moving them to the East Coast because there's not enough snow.
Really?
And
Wow.
yes,
Okay.
and it was like people out here were like they're moving these like downhill ski races and this mogul race, like they're moving them to Vermont or New Hampshire because like there's snow over there. We'll go there. Like, oh my God, that's unprecedented for Utah. Usually by this point we're, waist deep in snow. But it'll show up eventually.
I'm
That's a
sure.
separate matter,
Yeah.
not for the newsletter folks.
Yeah, for sure. No, but that's great to hear. I mean, that you are, a guy who is so deep in the space, so knowledgeable, and other than the fact that you're in such a unique place, you would start a local newsletter because you see the value and
Absolutely.
the optionality. And I think that just goes for why people are watching the show and realizing what an opportunity this is to, build relationships in your community, which you can leverage in all sorts of ways. Again, my thought, just so you know, I'm curious if you agree with these, is like, either whether you're doing AI implementation, right? Because every small business, every business is going to need AI support. So this is the way to build the relationships with the business. So instead of walking in cold, you build a brand that they become aware of. You can offer them free ad. You can do things and then say, yeah, I use AI. I'm good at AI here. So that's one. And then of course, digital marketing, because you're offering ads to people. And when you're talking about ads, what else are you doing for your marketing? And a lot of them just kind of stumble. I don't know. Well, let me handle your meta ads. Let me handle your SEO. So those are to me the kind of two low hanging fruit values, but I think there's so many others that people can go after that are just very specific to them.
It